Hello, everyone. I am checking to make sure that everyone can hear me and see me. I think there's a few minutes of a delay.
Hello, everyone.
All right, there we go. All right. First masterclass under the belt after today. So excited to be here with all of you. I know this is a little bit spontaneous, and in the future, I will make sure that I have this scheduled and event is happening so that you can get a reminder as well. So today we're going to have our first masterclass going into the series of rebuilding yourself. So today's masterclass is discovering your new baseline, and we're going to go over what a baseline looks like and how to find it, and if you need one. And yeah, we're just going to dig in and go for it. So I'm going to leave the screen now and share my screen with you. Here we go. All right. So we are doing our first masterclass on discovering your new baseline. Isn't this a lovely picture? Just being in the middle of everywhere and freedom and strength, peace. I would do anything to be there anytime I wanted with the snap of a finger, right? Let's see if we can get there. So most of you already know me, but for the future reference, I am Casey Barker. I'm a certified NLP coach. I've been a massage therapist for the last 13 years. So therefore, I love helping people relax into life. And no matter what that may look like right then and there as their life, we work through it together and we relieve the pain areas and find the habits that really created them to begin with so that we can resolve them and allow them to just dissipate. So I am using a lot of resources in this group already. So make sure that you're jumping onto the file section to finding access to all of your resources that are already here. So there's this masterclass today will have its own workbook as well. And that is also a review on going over those 7 stages of grief that most of you saw before you got into this group. So here we go. So you cannot have a positive life with a negative mind. See, I don't even want to say negative mind. So you cannot live a positive life with a negative mind. I think that most of us would believe in this as well. And it doesn't mean that it's not easy, right? So we're going to go over today on how we can really step into this statement every day. But how? Isn't she so cute? With a plan of action, of course. So let's define what you do currently in the event of overwhelm, because we know that life can be overwhelming at times, but the overwhelm is only there if we allow it to show up, right? So we're going to go over my personal strategy on how I deal with overwhelm and find my baseline. Look familiar? This is where most people are living, especially if they're having the feeling of overwhelm or anxiety. And let's just face it, I mean, anybody, whether you're a mom or not, we have so many different strings attached to us that are pulling us in different directions at almost all times. So I could really relate to this picture too. But destination bliss is straight ahead. That's where we want to go, right? Blissfulness and just calm, peace, serenity. Here's what we need to do first. So you need to analyze proactively and find what your needs really need to be. So do you just feel better when you can see all the possibilities? Because again, this is through my train of thought of I do feel better when I can see all the different possibilities. But in order to get to that, we have to analyze it proactively. So we need to be analyzing it. We need to be looking into it before we even really make big decisions so that we have that priority list already set up. And therefore, we can always have those morals and values that we are going to hold ourselves accountable to that are healthy for us. That's the key right there, that are healthy for us. And then we can move forward at that point. So because I see all the possibilities, I do look at all the good and all the bad. And then I focus a strategy around those possibilities so that I can know I'm going to get the most out of that experience, whether it is only being presented to me to have a lesson learned or to give me a reward of another way in benefits. So I do that by just totally mapping it out, and it looks mostly like this, honestly. I'm a creative writer, so I have lots of different ways that can map out using little branches like this too. But everyone will have their own way that works best for them. Bullet journals are a really great way to start mapping things out because you're not really having lines to deal with. You get to create your own lines and really connect them all together. So you can usually find those pretty much anywhere. So let's map it out. So, what part of that strategy initially was overwhelming? And then, what can be done now to give you the most return of safety and calm? And can you pinpoint the trigger or experience in which you want to attach as a negative to that strategy and why? So, my thought process here in explaining this to you is if the strategies that you're coming up with initially are usually always more in a negative way because you're seeing the overwhelm versus the positivity or the possibilities. Okay, so I want you to really focus in on how we can get through it. Right. So we're going to get into this webinar a little more as well on what can happen, when it can not go according to plan. All right, so we do that mapping process by this system mostly. Giving logic to fear is deadly. It is the anti-venom of your fear, and when you can give it some logic. So smart goals are making sure that the goal itself is very specific and measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So you need to make sure that you have every detail possible. And because you have every detail possible, it is measurable because you know the benchmarks of which you need to get to that point of bliss. And you know that they're achievable because you've already created evidence, mantras, affirmations, and just like ours in this group, support systems to know that they're going to hold you accountable so that you are being achieved. Then it's being realistic so that your expectations are not necessarily set too high, but your expectations are there because you know what's going to come up. So making that strategy plan on the negative parts of things too, so that you know realistically how you can get out of that as fast as possible, which is the timely. A real goal has a deadline. A real goal is something that you know is going to have a definitive point of achievement. So, setting up a deadline and really holding to your goals can really be a really great self care tactic, which we're going to get into today too. So, ready to practice. Here's what happens when we don't necessarily do the practice. When you don't do the practice, then when we're in those states of overwhelm that looked familiar, some of us can either go to shutdown mode or anger mode. And we're going to talk about what those look like and why. So the most common scenario what is the most common scenario that reoccurs regularly for you that can cause these two things? Because those are the things that I would like for you to roadmap out and strategize so that we can get through the more difficult, toxic, traumatic experiences and start only attracting those positive ones. So when you're shutting down, it can mostly be that you're limiting beliefs. So you're programming beliefs and talk that we hear within the day that doesn't necessarily mean that it came from you first. We all were children at one time, and our surroundings can be absorbed through us, and we can take on all of these projections from media and things like that and really download what we think everyone else wants to see and hear and not really focus on only what we need to hear from us. So the scenario has given your overwhelm of negativity fuel to reignite again as the evidence that you are no better than this. So a lot of people's negative Emotions and limiting beliefs are not facts. They're your reality that you have created, but we can create new realities based on real facts, okay? But we do need to work through all of those other limiting beliefs and those other um, hurdles that we all had them. So the new trainings that I've been taking personally allow me to have the techniques to really help you all with these things. So all I need you to do is reach out to me if you're finding yourself in this part of shutting down and not wanting to face anything. Sometimes it can be setting you off, though. So when we're getting into instant rage, it can really be our ego that's trying to come out or saying that we know that we've had enough of all of the negativity. We know we want change, but the change that comes out most of the time is doing these things. We either overcompensate our dominance or we give a deflection and we just ignore things. But that rage is not going to go away. It's just going to be festering inside of you and getting more fuel every time it does get triggered. So, in order to have an alternative of that, it is the reflection time. The reflection time is what we're going to get into on how to really find that baseline. So, determining if those current tactics are truly giving you the best fuel to keep you going on towards peace. That's where we all really want, right? It's just some peace. Even if it's 5 minutes or it's 5 hours, it'd be nice, right? So, walking away from those negatives and walking into peace and positivity is all our goal, and it can really be achieved, I promise. So, it's achieved because we're going to raise your vibration through all of the different scientific studies. It's been great to be around all of my other tribe members that are in here with us too. And they're one of our guest speaker groups as well. And we have just really harvested each other's vibration and lifting everybody up. And that's why this group is really created so that you all can start to feel that love, support, and just cheering on to raise the vibration in the group and raise the vibration all around us by everyone that we come in contact with. So, after the point of reflection, there usually comes a time of wanting a change for the better. And that's kind of true. Once we have a trigger, right, and then we react instead of respond, then we go back and we start replaying that over and over and over again. And we just, again, let it fester into either negative thoughts or more anger. And that point of reflection makes you want to come up with new change, what you think is for the better. But we're going to get into how that still may not look healthy. By boundaries. Boundaries are a great self help tactic. They are really there to help us um, feel secure and safe, but you can't really build walls around everyone for that's what we normally do. We run away and we start to hide and hibernate and try to seek protection while we can heal from the inside out, and then we'll reemerge, right? We need to go away from everything in order for us to heal is the old way of thinking, where the new way of thinking is, you don't need to put your life on hold while everyone else isn't just because you need to heal. You can heal slowly, progressively, while still mastering other parts of life. We don't need to set up boundaries that's going to push everyone away immediately. So, boundaries are a great tool, but even when you're building a house, you don't only use one tool. That's kind of the point here is that, boundaries are self-care, but there's other ways of self-care that we can all contribute that we'll have a great discussion on very soon. My rule, though, is for every boundary, there's also an educational moment to be taught. So I feel like the space between us is important, especially now with the situations that we are all living in. However, there has to be an educational moment, especially right now when we can't really see each other's faces and we're so distant and we're mostly connected digitally. We can't really feel the tension in the room necessarily. So the communication part is where this group is really pulling for me on those empowering conversations and the new perspectives so that we can learn each other's perspectives and know that we can do better and we can support each other. So teaching someone who's asking questions gives you an opportunity to show off that new vibration that you're learning. So look how confident this girl is, you all. Like, seriously, she's so happy to teach that question, right? That's where the attitude really needs to be. You need to have the attitude that you're not wrong and you just have a different point of view. They're not wrong, they just have a different point of view. And if they're having the discussion and they're not giving you necessarily, a massive attitude, why not have the discussion and teach them about what you're going through so that they might be able to go through it too? Some of us didn't even know that we needed some of these things until they were brought to us, right? So the best part is that your vibration, your feelings, your intensity is already in you. It is not something that you need to spend time creating. It's only the time getting to knowing it and using it. And that's the thing. It's like we all have these vibrational um, souls, we have that light that's shining within us, and your feelings and your intensity are what really make those the power that it is. And that's why we love everyone here, and we love that we're all connected and that we're here to share for each other. So it is mind over matter. So using positivity as a threshold, you simply just need to cross. And I know that sounds, again, so easy. And it really is. I promise you're just overthinking it. And I don't want you to be the overthinker anymore. I want you to be that neurodiverse person that we know you are in a gifted community. And those people can see all of these different branches of possibilities. So you got to get that mind over the matter and just really sink into those affirmations, those I am statements. Even if your I am statement of the day is I am positive. And then everything in your day will be positive if you can really sink into that. That's how you can hardwire those new belief systems, values, and morals without any of my techniques and help that way. So just do your best and just keep your eyes forward only. That's the big thing, is making sure that we can contribute to each other by keeping us each accountable for another on keeping the positivity first. So moving forward, what are the requirements I need to feel safe so that I can explore my options? So exploring your options is where we're going to get into this new baseline. So your requirements are necessarily your boundaries, or it could be the actions and the situations that bring you more good than triggers, so that you can use those to explore the options of the new perspectives. So discovering your new baseline here is using a baseline as a series of self-care items or actions to inspire your worth to increase. Opening this space allows you to feel safely triggered so that you can process. So a lot of these examples would be, taking a walk in the park, clearing your mind, sitting in the woods, working out, go for a drive, getting up extra early for no distractions. That one's my favorite. It's not necessarily easy all the time, but it is my favorite. So allowing these things to happen means putting down the phone and really sinking into a presence of just you being with you. So within, what would that look like to you? Is it going to be something like this in your mind? This beautiful picture of, peaceful serenity in a waterfall. We can go there. You can go there anytime that you want. It's just a matter of putting that mind over matter. So if they're still finding some obstacles on doing that, what needs to really open up and change so that you can have a new baseline? In order to get there, even remember to use those SMART goals again. So those SMART goals need to make sure that they are all going to work cohesively. You have goals in mind, they have deadlines. You can really map it out and see all of those different points that you're going to cross over as that threshold, and especially towards more positivity. When we're doing these things and using our boundaries, you can really get triggers of guilt and regret because people don't necessarily understand what is happening. And you could be triggering them then because they know that they need to do the same things, but they're not ready to really start doing that yet. So just be responsible in knowing that those events are going to need the most reflection too, And at what point and in what capacity are you comfortable sharing and explaining those to your, colleagues and things? And then, really, can you understand why you're being triggered if the people are asking you questions? Is it, because you're not necessarily there fully on able to step in to your new goals and boundaries? Or you're not able to explain it well because you're not feeling worthy necessarily? These are all things that this group and these people are with me and me, you can always set up your calls with me so that we can start walking through these and making sure that you have all of the support that you need. So, how do you know if you are getting closer, right? So, can you describe how you would respond now after having the time to reflect on that? So, if those friends, family, coworkers were to, ask questions, can you see how the other person's possible reasoning is for their behavior? So, if they are trying to lash out at you, are you looking at their perspective or are you just still looking at yours? And then if you need something to change, can you live with the behavior or the situation, the event that's happening with other people and only change your perspective and your actions so that you can still participate in that, life or that person's event? And then if you feel like they still need to have some change, can you give them the loving, uh, teachable moment so that you can express your preference, your requests, not your requirements? Everyone has a choice. And if we only go into things, looking for always an argument, then that vibration is different and we start to still push away instead of attract new opportunities. And then, most importantly is, can you explain why there needs to be a change for you, for them, for anyone? Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It really, really does. So I know that these things are really difficult, and I know that, they're not going to be easy and they're not going to come smoothly. So we really need to have these game plans, these roadmaps set out so that we can stick to our personal goals. So the roadmap is yours to make. So you can stay in those old habits or you can start to create your new habits. The great news is that you are here, the space that will nurture you and cheer you on for every small step forward over that threshold. Your workbook to create your roadmap will be posted for download. So our journey together has just begun. So this is our first masterclass on a Friday. So we're going to be having these every Friday, and I have so many great things to share with you all. I can't wait to go through and especially have these scheduled so that you guys can join me in being able to, interact and have really great group discussions while we're doing some learning material as well. So our journey has just begun because my journey really has just begun in actively giving you these things and using my great new techniques and source healing. So that link for scheduling with me will be uploading as well. So go ahead and embrace yourself because it's time to rise the best version of you. If you're finding that you need guidance along the way, I am just a click of a button away. And you really should. This can be all of us every day. It is just the choice of stepping in and just knowing that you're worth this attention from yourself for yourself. And then it attracts from other places too. That's all I have for you all today. I do love all of you, and I know that you're going to have a fabulous weekend because I'm going to have a fabulous weekend. I have a great new class this weekend again, so I'm so excited to bring great new techniques to you all. I already have my free people lined up currently, so I'm going to make sure that you all have an example to go by. So if someone gets brave enough that they want to allow me to share their experience just here in our safe group, then I'm happy to do that. So I will see you all soon, and I hope that you have a great, great weekend.